1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wednesday afternoon. Oh,
to happen. We have to. He was that sure that he was going to win.
Yeah.
And then I waited for the post-match interview. So the post-match interview, visibly he was down. Visibly, you can tell from his demeanor, from his face and facial expression and everything. And then he said something. He said, "Yeah, so the guy said, the reporter, the guy that was doing the post-match interview, he said, so what's next?" He said, "Well, it's very simple. Next, we have, in the next 3 days, we have another game. And then in the next 3 days after that, we have another game. And then in the next 3 days after that," I'm thinking, calm down.
Yeah.
No. So it's like his fixtures are that closely tied together that, he is stressed. Not just because he's lost. All right, so he's lost. That's a big part of it. That would have given him a boost. But then he's then got 3 days, or 2 days in between, to prepare for the next game, which is in 3 days. And I'm thinking, is it good for Premier League, or is it good for a Premier League club to be in all competitions? Or is it just good for a Premier League club to just be grateful that they're in one competition and then focus all their energy on that one?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. And in fact, Palace are in exactly the same position. There's a game away to Brighton on Sunday, which would be a bit of a tough one with sort of the local rivalry. And then midweek, there's a game next week. The following weekend, actually, is the FA Cup weekend. So Palace won't have a game then. But the week after that, we have a foreign game for the Conference League in the midweek or on the Thursday. Then a game at the weekend, and again at the Conference League again the following week. So it's very similar, apart from the FA Cup weekend, which I guess Chelsea are probably still in the weekend after this coming one. I think they are, so they would have three days, etc., because they're in the Champions League, aren't they? So yeah, but any team that goes into Europe, as Palace have this season, and I think it's been the downfall of our league play, our league situation, because we haven't had the squad to cope with all the games. We simply haven't, and plus the injuries that have happened to people like Kamada and other players who've been out through injury. Walton was out for some time, and so on. Whereas, really, and I think Glasner made this point a few months ago, after the FA Cup win, the last window in last summer, before this season, we should have built up the squad, because really, I mean, take for example on Sunday at Forest, instead of the 9 players on the bench who Palace are allowed, or any team is allowed, we could only put 7 on there, 2 of which were goalkeepers. And the others, apart from one, Ucha, who came on near the end, that was the only substitution. The others were kind of from the academy, the juniors, who just really wouldn't have the experience to cope with that. So if you don't have the proper squad set up, then your league form is going to be affected. And I do think that some of our defeats, and Palace haven't won a game. I think we won one in the Conference League, but we haven't won a game apart from that in 12 games. I think now for 8 Premier League games, we've lost 6 and won 2 in those 12 games. And I do think a lot of that is down to the extra games that came about and have come about through the Conference League, which have caused injuries.
say hello to old Mimi, Dr. Gladys and Rose, 3 beautiful ladies who join us on our shows. There's one other bro, sometimes joins us on the show,
which have caused injuries as they've gone along. If the players are playing too many games, and Glasner used to say this played too many games, you're going to get injuries. And he didn't have the squad really to cope. And he put that down to the board. And I think with some justification. Now, they seem to have not gone overboard, but they have at least bought two plus one loan this window, which is better, but no centre-back yet. They decided to drop the Dwight McNeil thing. So it does take it out of a team, to come back to your point. And this is what Rosenior is saying. Obviously, they're in the FA Cup. They're out of the Carabao Cup now, but they're in the European League and obviously the Premier League. And it's tough. It takes it out of your players. So that's probably what he was bemoaning, having lost the game as he did last night, that they got so many games coming up. It's twice 3 games in a week, really, weekend, midweek, weekend. And that goes on for a few weeks, as it's done for Palace, certainly in the last in a couple of months. And it's tough. It's a tough ask on players, because they always need some rest time, and particularly in the conference, where you play your games on a Thursday night, and then they have to transfer the games to a Sunday, which happened in our case. But then we played Arsenal, I remember, I think it was the FA Cup, on the Tuesday. So there was two days, and we wonder why we've got serious injuries in the squad. So yeah, Europe isn't always the blessing that you might think it is. It's sometimes just good to be a decent Premier League team, maintaining your place in that league, trying to improve every year, perhaps get into the top half, and hopefully that the big clubs don't pick off the players you develop who become good players, because that's what happens. But as long as fans are aware of that process, then you can't really be too angry about it. It's frustrating. It is frustrating, but to lose Eze and then Mark Gay, and other clubs will have lost people like Declan Rice and so on and so forth. It is tough on the supporters of the feeder clubs. It is.
Yeah. Oh, wow. This is all we've got time for. Wish we can go on forever. This is all we've got time for on the football referee. So join us again next week for another great discussions on the football matters. I've been Emmy Hikins, and you've been watching. I've been Emmy Hikins, and he calls me bro. He calls me cuz.
And I'm Trevor Gear, and he calls me bruv.
It's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me. See you next week.
Oh dear.
So I see you on Tuesday.
Say hello to old Mimi, Dr. Gladys and Rose, 3 beautiful ladies who join us on our shows. There's one other bro, sometimes joins us on the show.